week 3 of the fantasy football season. And here's a few kickers I looked at off the wire this week. The first guy, Nick Folk of the Tennessee Titans. Nick Folk, so far the first 2 weeks, he does what he does best. He goes out there and he puts up fantasy points. Here is Folk with double-digit fantasy points in the first 2 games of the season. So right now, it was the same thing with him in New England. And now he goes to Tennessee, where it's an offense that they don't finish a lot of drives off in the end zone, even with DeAndre Hopkins added in the offseason. So right now, available in tons of fantasy leagues here at 72%. We know he's a veteran. We know he's going to get a lot of opportunities over there in Tennessee. And I think he's a kicker pretty much at least 40% or more he should be owned. So right now, well, he's getting opportunities and he's on a mediocre offense once again, is Nick Folk. He's definitely a kicker and ad this week. The next kick is Brandon Aubrey of the Dallas Cowboys. So we know the Cowboys, one of the highest scoring offenses in the league over the last few seasons, and a lot of field goal attempts. And Brandon Aubrey, so far the first 2 weeks, he's looked good for this Cowboy team. Week 1, he had 7 fantasy points at the Giants. I know he missed an extra point, but then week 2, a lot of chip shots, and he did hit a 55-yarder as well in that ball game. So he had 16 points, and now week 3, back to another dome game as well at the Arizona Cardinals, a game where I think this Dallas Cowboy team could be in the red zone early and often. So right now, Aubrey getting opportunities on a high-powered offense and chances, and right now he's available in tons of leagues, but I think that's going to change quickly, is Aubrey, in 94% of fantasy leagues. The next kick is another former Dallas Cowboy, Brett Maher of the Los Angeles Rams. So Brett Maher last season, he was pretty solid for the regular season, but then towards the end and the playoffs, where he missed 4 field goals versus the Tampa Bay Bucs, he obviously struggled. But the first 2 weeks here, he's put up fantasy numbers, and we know he's got a big boot, obviously, is Brett Maher. So week 1, 15 fantasy points, and week 2 versus the Niners, 13 fantasy points. So right now, this Ram team, it's a youth movement over there, but they're a team that's getting in the red zone, getting opportunities for Brett Maher. He's available in 98% of fantasy leagues. I know week 3 is another matchup where they're probably going to have to settle at times here for field goals at the Cincinnati Bengals, even though this Bengal team is struggling and 0-2 in the season. So right now, I know Maher, like I said, with all the misses and stuff, it's not a good thing, but over the last few years. But right now, available 98% of fantasy leagues. Next kick is Jake Moody of the San Francisco 49ers. I mentioned Moody as an ad last week, and this week will probably be the last chance for fantasy owners to go out there and get Jake Moody. Available right now only in 54% of leagues. So the first 2 weeks here for Moody, week 1 at Pittsburgh, 14 fantasy points, and week 2 with the Rams, 12. So right now, he's in a high-powered offense, obviously. Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. The opportunities are going to be there. And this kid's got a big boot as well, hitting a 57-yarder in the week 2 ball game at the Los Angeles Rams. So week 3, another good matchup coming up versus the New York Giants, where their defense is the middle of the pack type of defense. But the field goal opportunities will be there, I believe, for Moody. And like I said, when you're in a high-powered offense, chances will come a lot, and they have so far in the first few weeks for Moody. And the 5th and final kicker I looked at off the wire this week here is Blake Grubb with the New Orleans Saints. I know the Saints haven't played yet Monday Night Football here tonight, but Grubb, week 1, he looked good, obviously, versus the Tennessee Titans. New Orleans Saints offense, I think, is going to be an offense where some drives they're not going to finish with. Grubb could get 2 or 3 opportunities almost gamely. So right now, week 2, if he's out there on your wire still and you need a kicker or whatever the case, you're looking ahead, I think he's a kicker that can help fantasy owners in a big way. And obviously the other plus as well, he plays all his home games indoors and a few ball games this season on the road indoors as well. He's going to Houston, Indianapolis, Minnesota, so that's 3 extra indoor ball games in Atlanta. So right now, a lot of indoor games here for Grubb. They obviously picked him over Will Lutz after they traded him to Denver. And a kicker there this week, available in 97% of leagues. That's a few kickers I look to add here in week 3 of the fantasy football season.